Greetings and salutations. What's up out there? It's David Duford, owner of DeFord Insurance Group. We are doing a unique segment of content here for the next couple of weeks where I'm talking to agents around the nation about selling insurance and answering their burning questions about anything insurance sales related. So I've got Mr. Agent Ash here. Ash, say hello. How you doing today?
Hi, everyone. How are you, David?
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. So basically what we can expect here in the call here is Ash has questions. I've got answers. He's going to take it wherever he wants to, and I'm going to do my best to help him out. So Ash, why don't you do a quick little introduction and then just kind of jump in and ask your questions and I'll help you.
Yes, greeting and salutations. Hey, David. So I've been in the insurance business for about a little bit over a year now. I was in retail for about 15 years. And then after COVID hit, I needed to make a transition. And I transitioned to the insurance business. And now I'm here. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Great. Excellent, man. Good to have you. What can I help you with today?
Yes. So, David, now I've been watching your content for a long time. And I consider you one of my coaches. Just I have a tons too, because I learned a lot from the stuff that you put out. It's been amazing. It's been a lot of help, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So now when I started with the insurance business, I started as a captive. And I was, I got my first check after I saw my first policy, and the check wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't told exactly how things work out. So I left captive right away, and I became an independent. Well, I signed up through other IMOs, with other carriers. And my biggest problem was when I first started, I wasn't told clearly how this business works. Once you look into the insurance business, you start getting, once the algorithm catches you on the internet looking for insurance, you start getting these messages nonstop. And it was actually pretty cool because that's what I'm looking for. So I would, fill these applications, trying to work with agencies, and I started getting contacted. And the first thing that I was getting thrown at was the commission this, commission that. And I had no idea how the business works. Nobody really explains the business to the agents clearly how it works. Even the hierarchy, they don't tell you how it works for them as a hierarchy. They don't talk about, with how the commission is broken down and so on. So I didn't really know what to do. And I signed up with the first agency, and they gave me the highest contracts out of everybody else. And they told me, well, grab some leads and start dialing. And now by the time I ended up in this business, I didn't have a lot of money after COVID and everything. And nobody told me that leads cost money. Nobody told me a lead costs $15 or even $40 for the better ones. And when you're starting out, where are you going to buy leads for $40 and $15? So it was pretty rough. I bought the leads with all the money I had at that time. And I started dialing. Nobody picked up. Started dialing again. Few people picked up, and they all denied. Some of them denied, filling those information. And I'm busy, call me later. And I just couldn't get a hold of anybody. And it was a Facebook lead. At that time, I didn't know anything about door knocking. So they were gone. Money was gone. So I had started to hesitate to buy leads off the internet. I didn't know what to do. I would get emails and messages about events happening nearby in Houston, where I am. And I would go attend these events, trying to figure out how the business works. And then I met someone there from a different IMO who took me door knocking for the first time in my life. Went door knocking, and I was like, this is great. I can do this. Went one time, and it was funny because I don't speak Spanish, but all the clients we saw spoke Spanish, so I didn't even understand the conversation. I was trying to translate as much as I can.
Right.
And we had one client who spoke English, and we were able to sell him a policy. And then after that, I started dialing the leads I was getting. The first batch of leads I got, I had some success with. I was able to set 3 appointments.
Good.
And after that, nobody picked up the phone at all. And I started just stop calling the leads I was getting the mailers. I made a deal with my hierarchy to help me to get some of these leads because I didn't have enough money. And I was getting leads through him, mailers, and I would just go door knock everybody. And of course, after watching all these videos about how agents don't do enough effort to door knock the leads, I would door knock every door 3 to 4 times. And some of them, the bushes would be so high, you wonder how these people got out to pick up the mail. And I said, I'm here already, right? I drove all the way here. I would still knock that door and scream and yell. And so after, I didn't have the best, luck with these leads, but when people pick up, they would tell me, oh, I filled this form. Make a wish, by the way, it's 1010. When people pick up, they say, oh, I picked up I filled this months ago. I already got it. I don't need it, and so on. And then some of the leads would be dead already. And some would had a heart attack a while back. And one was a coma for 9 months. But according to the leads I was getting, these leads are supposed to be fresh leads. And they were not so fresh.
No.
So that made me lose trust in my hierarchy. And I couldn't work with someone who I felt like I was being lied to. So I kind of stopped doing business with them. And, man, I ended up on my own with whatever money I had. I left. I bought leads. I have a lot of bills to pay, paid the bills. Now I'm at a point where I had to get a part-time job to start making some money to be able to pay for my living. And I have to get another job to make enough money to keep this insurance business going.
Right.
So now my question to you, what would you do in this situation? Because from talking to a lot of agents or listening to a lot of the, on Facebook, we're part of these groups and you always participate and trying to figure out. I noticed a lot of the new agents don't have any clue how this business works.
Right. Oh, yeah. No.
So they all fall in the same trap. And now I'm in this trap where I don't want to give up on this business.
Right.
I don't. I love selling life insurance. I think it's amazing. It's a great product. Great product. It's helpful for everybody and most of the people that need it. But how do you keep going? And I'm trying to figure out how to get out of this mess I'm in. I even went to a State Farm, trying to get a part-time job with them,
Sure.
And same and with them, I couldn't get a job unless I get released from all my contracts.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's something I would like to do.
So some advice firsthand. I was in your exact same situation. I started in final expense, did all right, not crazy good, but not bad at all. I did good for my first 6 to 9 months. And then due to circumstances in my control, based on my dumb decisions, also to the extent my IMO is a part of, I failed out after about 12 months. So I share that with you because I know what it's like your situation is. But likewise, I also know what I had to do in order to come back, because I didn't want to give this business up. Thank God, because this business is awesome. The money, the freedom that you get, it's really hard in the beginning. And a lot of people don't have the fight in them to keep going. So I'll try to give you my best advice based off of firsthand experience. So the reason, and I can only speak for myself, Ash, but the reason I failed largely was because I made dumb mistakes as an immature 20-something-year-old kid that didn't really respect the business. In other words, I got away from how to do this business the right way. And I started to go down the pathway of doing it my own way. And the thing that's funny about insurance sales is that it's an old business model. It's already been figured out. It doesn't take a lot of creativity or thinking. What it takes is a sense of discipline, but also obviously on the other side of the deal, working with a partner that'll actually show you what you need to do and not pull punches. So for me, after I failed out, I was done with, in my case, the final expense business. I was sick of it. So I got a job full-time working for a company called Airmark selling uniform services. I hated it. And that kind of inspired me to look a second time at final expense. And enough time had passed that I realized, first of all, it was my fault for the circumstance that I was in. I was the one that failed. I didn't follow what we knew and has been demonstrated to work. And so I took that responsibility and said, you know what, this time around, I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to do everything I should have been doing, and I'm not going to deviate from it. So why am I telling this to you? Because this is kind of the situation you've got to be in. So you're selling final expense. Is that kind of your background here so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's the thing. So what is the right way to sell final expense? You got to have the training. You got to have the support. Okay. Some agencies offer them. A lot of them don't. Right. Let's say you've got those two things. You've got great training along with product selection and good support from an upline. The thing that commonly gets thrown around as being not as big a deal, but it's really the biggest deal, is the quality of the leads that you're buying. And the problem is, and I could hear it from the beginning, and I know you trusted these people, and that's part of the issue. They let you down. You were getting inferior leads. The Facebook leads, I've done surveys multiple times on agents about the quality of leads. What do you think are the best? What do you think the worst? Most agents agree the worst leads are Facebook leads by a long shot. And so understand where I'm going with this is, when you got everything good, but you don't have the lead flow and the lead situation down pat, it's going to be difficult. Okay. So what you're saying in your experience is not surprising. On top of that, they've been resold. They're old. I mean, you're walking in, people are dead already. That means these leads are at least a year plus old, that makes it even that much more harder. So that's set up against you too. And it's hard to work with people that have no interest, right? I'm not asking my leads to just like give me their money, but I do want to have somebody who remembers doing it recently and has a little bit of an interest. That's a given when you buy a lead, but you weren't even getting that. So the point is, one of the good things that have come from all this, Ash, is you know what not to do, right? Through the experience you've been. So what does that leave remaining? Direct mail. Direct mail is king and final expense. I got away myself in the first time, the time I failed, from the classical strategy of doing direct mail. And when I came back, I basically vowed, I said, you know what? I'm not going to quit or fail because of some mistake I made. I'm going to do everything right as I was originally taught and focus on that, not deviate. So the point being is I got back to direct mail. I went all in on direct mail. I bought leads. I focused on that. I door knocked like you did, outsourced the appointment setting, had somebody doing the appointment setting for me. But I ran appointments face-to-face, just exclusively doing door knocking. And a year later, I went full-time. I quit my job. I went full-time back in the final expense when I had been doing it part-time. So a couple of things here for you, my advice. Nothing wrong, no shame whatsoever in having to retool and get back on your feet financially. If you got to get a full-time job somewhere else and you need to do this part-time, there's no shame in this whatsoever. I did it, and it's worth it because of what the opportunity is.
If I close one policy a week, that right there will pay more than a full-time job. Well, a couple of policies will pay more than a full-time job at some point.
But it's also going to give you it's going to help you develop the skill set. It's going to help you develop discipline. You're going to get better, and you're still going to have, your feet in the water. You're still going to be in the game, just not full-time, but you're still actively improving and getting better. And all part-time work is just half full-time, right? So when you go full-time, you're just doing the same thing, just a little bit more, right? But we have a whole day. You can do 2 full-time jobs, nowadays, if you really want to work. Yeah.
And David, I have the discipline. I'm very disciplined. I put effort in everything I do, and I also, like with selling, I'm pretty good with that as well. As long as I can sit down with a client, there's a 70% chance I'm closing them.
Right.
If not higher.
Yeah, no. And that's the problem is, you mentioned a couple of things, like the biggest problem people have are too few people to see. Well, in the final expense space, you need the right and proper type of leads to give you enough and even too many people to see. Because your main problem is, if I could solve, like, your problem of making success in this business is solved if you're sitting down in front of 15 people a week. It sounds like you'd be closing 8 to 10 deals. You'd be a totally different, night and day difference than where you are now.
Correct.
The problem is, to get 15 appointments a week, to close 8 to 10 deals, you need to have direct mail, and you need to have a quantity of them that will suffice so that you can stay as active as possible and be as successful as possible. So this is kind of what my recommendation would be. One issue that is a problem here with all, this is kind of the underlying issue to an extent with most agents that fail out, is it's either the fear of investing their money, or they just have an inadequate bankroll. So they're either afraid that, oh, what if I make a mistake? And, well, I'm going to buy the cheap leads instead of the expensive leads, right? Or Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
went to waste. 70 numbers out of 100 did not pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't even get through. The phone was out.
Oh yeah. I believe you. Or what happens too is that people, they're not told that you get what you pay for in the lead business, right? They're just told, hey, buy these instant leads or these leads out of a CRM that are cheap, and a lead is a lead is a lead. Then you find out it's not the case. All of this is to say, you should get back into this business when the underlying issue is bankroll. It's having the money to pay for leads and having the confidence, because there's money in the bank account, to be okay investing in the better leads. There's not that temptation, in other words, to get cheap because money is tight. And this is where the power of having a full-time job and doing this part-time is good, because you don't have your bills to worry about because the full-time job pays for it. And then you can take time to save your money so that when you've got 5,000 to 10,000, somewhere in that range, it can be on the lower end and be just fine. Then you've got enough money to pay for your direct mail leads that they're going to come in. And there's no risk or concern like, geez, I don't know if I can do this because what if it doesn't pan out? I don't have something to fall back on. You've got this full-time job to help you out. And so there's less financial pressure and stress to perform, which oddly enough, I think actually helps you. So it helps a lot of people. So that's kind of how I would get back into this. My objective when I failed and came back was to just do part-time final expense for a year plus, so I could build a bankroll. I wanted as much money as possible in the bank. I wanted my debt paid down as much as possible so that when I quit my job at Aramark, that I'd never have to go back and work for the man, because I knew based off, I had $90 in my account when I quit. I knew that money is what drives this thing, and having money on hand is it makes everything easy. So that's kind of what I would recommend to you if you're, my brother in the business, or if you're my agent. I would be like, look, do this part-time, no shame, get on your feet financially, save your money, make a bankroll, and then do direct mail. Do the best lead you can, get in front of the best prospects, get everything in your favor. Because if you're going to fail, you want to fail going out in a blaze of glory. You don't want to fail because, well, crap, I should have done the better stuff. You know what I mean?
100%.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. Any follow up to that? Any other questions? Feel free to.
Yeah. So now after doing the door knocking, it was a great experience. I loved it because I was able to sit down with the client face to face, be in their home, be in their environment. And really, when somebody tells you on the phone, I don't have the money for it, I never believed it. Right. It's like, what do you mean you don't have the money for it? And then when I sat down with them in their homes and went over their financial statements, a lot of these people really don't have it. They're living, a lot of them off of credit cards.
Right.
So I would really love to transition to selling over the phone. That's what I would like to go. What do you think about it? I know, like now, even I believe you guys are promoting a done for you service for leads. I would like to go that route.
Sure.
I would like to transition from doing it face to face, because I'm in the car 8-10 hours to get one person to open. It's just waste of a time. Right. I would like to switch it up. What do you think about that?
So a couple of things to think about here, and I'm just going to kind of just drop some experiences I've had. We definitely train agents, telesales. We definitely train them over the phone, face to face. Whatever way you want to sell, we teach you. We've got years of experience doing both. I have it firsthand. We have successful agents. The thing, though, I notice in this business, and again, this is an industry reality, is the success rate for telesales is lower than face-to-face. And it's part of the reason you mentioned earlier, Ash. People will tell you all sorts of crap on the phone that isn't true, that's harder to deal with. But when you show up in person, you shake hands, you make eye contact, you actually develop a little rapport and relationship. A lot more agents have an easier time doing business that way than had they were to do it over the phone. Now, this isn't me saying you can't do that, or that this isn't me saying that telesales is not lucrative. It's lucrative, but you've got to have the right personality. You've got to have the right disposition to do telesales, because it's unique and different and separate from face-to-face. There are examples of agents going from face-to-face to telesales that never make the transition. They just don't get it. It's just not as lucrative for them. But some people just are superior on a face-to-face basis. I think telesales is, for the right person, is equally lucrative to face-to-face. I know I have agents in my agency do very well over the phone, but not so much that it completely outstrips face-to-face. I kind of think of them as co-equal in their opportunity. It's really a matter of it's helping the agent come to that conclusion. Is this really meant for me or not? On some level, if you really feel it is for you, what I would suggest, Ash, the same principles apply as earlier. If you start this again and you go to telesales route, please make sure you get enough leads, because with the telesales route, one of the things that's different than face-to-face final expense, first of all, we don't use direct mail for telesales. Instead, we either buy a lot of fresh Facebook leads. Full-time agents need to do 100 plus a week. Part-time agents need to do 50, really is a good number. So I would start at 50 a week if I were you, or some kind of live transfer lead where the leads call you, either on like a opt-in web form where a call center person qualifies them, or a television lead. Those can be good too. But the point
David,
is,
sorry to interrupt you, but with those telephone leads, I mean, when I listen to some of the conversation you guys have, if they're not registered, I worry about these leads because I don't know if they're from India. I don't know.
yeah,
From how am I going to be able to tell that this company I'm dealing with is in the United States? It's very difficult.
it is. And so I don't recommend doing any telemarketed based call center operations that are international. I get proposition daily from folks in Pakistan, folks in Philippines, and I don't have a problem with necessarily working with foreigners. The problem is they don't have to abide, nor are there consequences of not abiding by federal telemarketing regulation. A lot of them will cold call people on the do not call list. They swear up and down they don't. And then the agent who calls on it, if you end up calling a professional litigant that goes after agents, you're going to get sued for thousands upon thousands of dollars, and it's a nightmare. And the way that you avoid that is you don't use call centers that are international based, and you don't use cold calling to telemarketing. Like what we do for our live transfers, Ash, is we're using in our agency, the call center is based out of Buffalo, New York, and the data is opt-in web data from online. So they request the information. They say it's okay for us to call them. So it's completely clean, compliant. That's the only way to do the live transfers. And then the Facebook leads, those are opted in. So they give you permission to call. So that's the only way we do it now. To telemarketing routes, just too risky, especially on a cold call basis.
Yes, I agree. Now, I completely understand what you meant by face-to-face and the telephone. I feel like I'm really good with people. So I've been in sales all my life since I was a kid. So I'm really good with people. It's easy for me to read them and make them feel comfortable
Sure.
and so on. But I want to work smart. Working hard is beautiful. I've done it. I've been doing it all my life. But the reason why I want to do it over the phone is to be able to reach a lot more customers instead of me sitting in a car wasting time. That's the reason why I want to go. So now, this is the question I have for you. Now, okay, I have this idea that I want to do it over the phone. You said I need to make sure I'm really good. Is there a way that someone can tell me if I'm good or not? How can I find out? What kind of help do I need to find out that if I'm good or not? Just by buying leads and start dialing them, or by asking someone like you who've been doing this for a long time that can listen to my pitch over the phone and can give me an idea, hey, you're not good at this, stay with face-to-face. Does that make sense?
I do that. If you're an agent in my agency, we have agents who record their sales calls, submit them to us, and then we critique them. That would be something would be open to you if you're part of the agency. But I would tell you this, like, here's how I would ultimately tell pretty much everybody how to measure if you're really good for telesales or not. Buy the required leads that are necessary. Again, part-time would be 50 Facebook leads. Pretty much any major vendor out there is okay to buy them from. Buy 50 fresh and exclusive ones. The price should be $12 to $17, somewhere in that range. Once you have 50 of them, call these people for that full week. you should, out of every 100 leads you buy off of Facebook, close 5 to 7 deals. A good agent will close 5. A great agent will close 7. So if you can close 2 to 3 deals off of those 50 Facebook leads, then that's likely that telesales process is good for you. But if you dial through those 50 leads, you struggle, you don't make any sales, and you've honestly called 20 hours that week, you really made it an honest effort, and you're not making sales, then I would probably tell you, it's probably not right for you. This assumes you got good training, support, a good script, right? All that stuff that matters too. But if you're not even making one sale off of an honest effort, then just go back to face is what I would tell you.
Well, the problem is, what if let's say maybe in the future you create a school that teaches people how to speak over the phone. I think that would be fantastic, because if somebody's running solo like me, who do I pick up the phone and call? Hey, can you please listen to my conversation or the phone and give me feedback? Most of the people I know are on the ground. They're not doing really telephone sales.
Right.
They're all door knocking, so they don't have the experience. Even when I approach people from my agency, like, we need to switch to over the phone to capture all that business, they're very comfortable with what they're doing with door knocking. So now, how do I find out if I'm good? Now, maybe I need a little bit feedback to improve myself, so I'm able to sell better over the phone. I mean, I'm sure with training, you can always be good at it.
Yeah, and that
Good
comes
training.
down to and I'll have to wrap it up after this. Ash, you kind of got in the end here, and I appreciate you doing this with me. But I'll tell you this, like, the reality of the deal is that when it comes to the training, I mean, there's not a lot of providers out there providing training to the degree that you want, kind of on a purchased program basis, because the money in this business is on recruiting agents and training them. I mean, my revenue in my agency is accounted probably for 80% of my revenue. So, that's why I don't have some kind of coaching service, because I make enough money just by coaching my people for free, and it directly benefits me back. You know what I mean? So it's hard to find that stuff out there. And the real solution to that problem is, you're in an agency that if they're focused on face-to-face, which is great, but you really earnestly want to go telesales, you're going to have some difficulties because they're not going to know how to do it. And you're not going to get the kind of coaching and support you need, So it's going to come down to which agency is best for me with what it is that I ultimately want to do.
Correct. Well, David, thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, Ash.
Awesome advice.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Yeah.
Thanks.
And all the great content you always put out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And best of luck to you. If I can help anytime, just let me know.
Thank you, man. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
God bless.
You too.